What's up, everybody? Today's episode of the Smoking Tire Podcast is brought to you by Off the Record. You know Off the Record. You've heard us talk about them so many times at this point. You could do an ad for Off the Record. You love it. I love it. We all love it because they're providing an incredibly valuable service to the community. Even if you're not a car enthusiast, even if you're just a car owner, a car commuter, you can get tickets. Anyone can get a ticket for something stupid. Maybe for something you didn't even do. Maybe it's total BS caca poo-poo, not a real ticket. Off the Record is here for you because what they do is they find a qualified attorney to fight that ticket in a jurisdiction that you got the ticket, right? They set you up with the best, and they fight that ticket on your behalf in court with the prosecutor, the whole deal. You don't have to go to court, and you certainly don't have to plead guilty. You should never plead guilty. Instead, go to Off the Record. Go to offtherecord.com/TST or download the Off the Record app on your smartphone and use code TST10. That'll get you 10% off all your legal services with Off the Record. You do something small, you do something big, Off the Record can help get you an attorney that will fight that ticket on your behalf. Offtherecord.com/TST or code TST10 on the Off the Record app. Do it instead of pleading guilty, and you will thank me later, I promise. We're also brought to you today by Dylan Optics sunglasses. You know those awesome matte finish sunglasses you see me wearing in every episode of the show? Those are Dylan Optics, and they are not just cool looking, they are really, really highly functional. It's like HD life. Extreme clarity, great polarization, and virtually unlimited combinations of frame, color, style, you name it. You design your own. You go to the website, right? You go to thesmokingtire.com, click on the Partners tab, and then you follow that Dylan banner, right? And you build your own glasses like a configurator. You choose your frame, then you choose the color lens you want, and Dylan will send them to you, right? You're so unlikely to see another pair of Dylans that are your exact configuration because there are so many combinations of frame and lens types. They've even got prescription. Inquire through Dylan's website directly about getting prescription, but you can do it. Go to thesmokingtire.com. Click on the Dylan banner under the Partners tab, and if you order a pair of Dylan Optics sunglasses, we will send you a free Smoking Tire t-shirt for supporting the people who support us. We genuinely appreciate them. They've been our longest sponsor. For almost 12 years now, Dylan Optics has been with us. It is the only sunglasses I will ever wear. I've got like 10 pairs of them. I'm always rotating through them. They are the best. TheSmokingTire.com. Click on that Partners tab, and if you use that link, we'll send you a free t-shirt for supporting the people who support us with every frame you buy. All right, folks, on this episode of the podcast, Zach and I are in England, courtesy of Lotus, for the Goodwood Festival of Speed, but the day was canceled. You may have read about this. The whole day got canceled because it was blowing gusts of 40 to 55 mile an hour winds. So we couldn't go to the races. And instead, what do, right? What are you going to do when they cancel a major event? Well, if you're us, you're going to go to Jenson Button's house, his rented cottage in the beautiful English countryside, and interview the man himself, Formula One world champion Jenson Button, in his pool house. That's what we did. We talked about what it's like to drive all the different cars up the hill that he's driven. We talk about his experience racing NASCAR. We talk about the Garage 56 effort at Le Mans. We talk about the Radford Type 62 going up Pikes Peak. We talk about the Cars Jenson's collection, including a new, very specially painted Porsche 911 reimagined by Singer. We talk about his new Lotus Evija, and we have good jokes, good laughs, and good times with Formula One world champion Jenson Button from his cottage at the Goodwood Festival of Speed. It's the Smoking Tire Podcast. Here we go. Jenson Button is in the house. Actually, we're in his house.
Literally in the house.
Wait, that's not even true. We're in a hired house, and we're in the exterior gym of the hired house.
Yeah, but we have a pool view.
Which is sweet.
Yeah.
This is an awesome house.
It's all right, isn't it?
Your mom just gave me the little tour.
She did.
Yeah, this house, like, there's rooms that are got to be from, like, the 1600s in this house. And then there's some new house built on top of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that wall has like seashells and old stones in it, and then there's like a cabbage farm behind you.
No,
is that
peas.
what it is?
It's peas.
Is it peas?
It's,
Okay.
green beans. Yeah, Rob just went and picked some.
Oh.
I wish he's probably illegal.
Yeah, possibly.
Cut that out.
Yeah.
Really, I'm not saying who picked it. Yeah.
The Lotus budget has shrank. He's picking lunch.
If it was cabbages, you'd smell it. But no, it's true. The house is based, as you said, around the Aga.
Yeah, which is the stove, which is like one of these very old English style stoves. It's an oil burner and it's on all the time, and is the coolest thing. They're so expensive, they're so heavy, and you build a whole house around them.
Oh my God,
they're amazing.
Yeah, it heats the house, it heats the water, it does everything.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow. And they deliver oil to like the tank.
Yeah.
Every couple months.
Yeah.
I'm going to say yes.
Once a century. Yeah.
Once a century.
Yeah. Cool. It's very cool.
Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having us. This was supposed to happen on the stand at the Lotus booth, and then they canceled Goodwood today.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the stress that the Duke and his people are going through?
I mean, we had a dinner at the house last night, and that you could just tell they did not want to cancel. They did everything they could to not cancel it.
Yeah.
But
look what's happening outside right now. I mean, we could literally see why it was a good idea.
But it's beautiful weather. That's the annoying thing. Yesterday was horrific weather, which was the Friday. And yeah, it's beautiful weather today. But
the cars would run nice.
They would run nice.
Yeah. It want a certain direction.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I don't know if the course goes upwind or not, but
there's a bit of both. There's lefts and rights, so it would be a bit tricky. But
the
stress was unreal at the house last night. But the funny thing was, they're like, maybe I shouldn't say this, but the Duke, let us all know it wasn't going to happen, and that's when all the emails went out and texts went out on social, and then he said, but the black tie dinner's still happening, and just the uproar, everyone stood up. Yeah, we get to party still.
Don't cancel the drinking. Yeah. That would have been a whole other,
Yeah, we would have left.
And we were really worried when they canceled it. We were like, we need to make dinner reservations because we thought we're going to cancel the black tie. And we're like, all the rich people are going to take over every restaurant and we better make a reservation like stat.
Yeah, but you got lucky.
Yeah, no. You guys you're going to go put your tux on, and we ran into Ben Collins in town who was shopping for a tux. He was not ready. He was literally getting fitted for a tux in town.
Oh, amazing. Well, you said it was a bit of a party scene in town.
So how many people come to this thing?
50,000.
So 50,000 people today all of a sudden found themselves with nothing to do. So Zach and I went to the car museum.
The National Motor Museum. In Below, whatever it's called?
Beaulieu.
Yes, Beaulieu. Thank you for fixing that. And so there was like 5,000 people there.
Yeah.
The cashiers were completely overwhelmed. The place was smashed. Right. And then, okay, cool. And we were a little early coming back. So we're like, we'll go into town and get a coffee. And we go to town. It's Mardi Gras down there. The streets are packed. People are just pounding beers everywhere. Like
those wonderful outdoor pub arguments at 3 p.m.
Oh, yeah, great.
You walk by and hear.
It was wild. And the coffee shop owner was like, I don't know what's going on. This is crazy.
Oh, that's nuts.
Yeah, it was wild.
Well, we went to the military, aviation military museum, which again, there was a queue out the door. I mean, these people have probably seen 3 people this month. And suddenly it's packed.
Yeah. Let them make their money.
Yeah.
That's those people don't make their money Goodwood weekend. So they probably should have staffed up last night, but I don't know. So how many years have you been doing this? Was this part of your upbringing, Goodwood? Did you come as a young man?
No, well, when I was young, it didn't happen.
Because this is 30 years, right?
Yeah.
So when you were like a teenager.
Yeah, I was 13 when it started.
Okay.
But no, my first year was when I got into F1.
Oh, so your first year you were like a driver, not a fan.
Yeah,
okay.
So I came here in 2000, and I've been here, I think, every year apart from one.
Amazing.
One of the COVID years.
Right.
And I didn't make it. But apart from that, every year I come.
And do you drive every year as well?
Yep.
And what was your first run up the hill in? Was it in an F1 car?
It was. It was in the current F1 car that I was racing, the BMW Williams.
That's pretty crazy.
It's nuts.
I mean, is that, we talked to Chris Harris yesterday, and he was kind of like, there's no point in trying to go fast up the hill because even in a very fast car, it's all downside. There's no, unless you're in the shootout, it's all downside. So here you are as a young F1 driver in an F1 car, high expectations. What did you do?
Donuts.
All right. Yeah, okay.
Good.
That's what you do.
Yeah, and there's actually there's a thing on YouTube where it shows. Am I allowed to say that?
What?
Am I allowed to say YouTube?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Why did you think you couldn't say
well,
YouTube?
I don't know. I thought there was something you guys. Oh, you can't show footage.
We can't show
from
YouTube.
YouTube.
We can't show YouTube videos.
Okay, well, don't show this.
You can't say YouTube.
Hulu bought us out. Yeah.
So anyway, on YouTube, there's this video of me through the years of me doing burnouts in F1 cars.
That's awesome.
We got every year. There's something.
Go pull up that compilation.
But more importantly, you see my hair through the years and the different hairstyles. Wow.
Yeah.
I had some bad style. Yeah.
19-year-old Jenson.
Did you go full
mullet.
Seb? Oh, mullets.
Oh, yeah. Mullet.
Yeah.
Wavy mullet as well. But so basically they tell you can't do donuts. You do not drive on the grass. So what do? You drive on the grass.
They tell you
do
everybody does. I saw so many donuts. I saw so many people cutting the grass.
Yeah.
But it seems like now there's that little turnout that's meant for donuts. Like that's a crowd favorite.
Oh, is that not all? That was not always there.
It was always there. We just weren't clever enough to think of it.
Oh, the first guy to figure that out. Yeah. That is a genius.
He's so clever.
That person should be knighted.
Yeah.
By the Duke.
Yeah.
Can the Duke knight people? I don't think so.
Don't think so. No,
Only the king and the queen, right?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
And Prince.
Right.
Princes can.
That driveway is quite narrow.
Yes.
It's certainly smaller than a racetrack.
Yes.
In an F1 car, does it feel like you're on a sidewalk, basically?
Well, it just does. An F1 car doesn't work because F1 cars used to a flat surface.
And it's very crowned.
Yeah, because it's a road. So
Yeah.
you basically just look like an idiot driving up there because you go left, right, left, right, left, right, all the way up the straight.
Yeah.
Doing burnouts and donuts is the best thing. But one year, somebody did drive fast up the hill. Nick Heidfeld in a McLaren.
Oh, I remember that.
In a
41 seconds, I think.
Yeah, it was
and
a
he had
record
the
for the
record.
time, right? Yeah.
That was the record until the Spearling beat it.
Oh, was it?
It
Until
was.
the
Yeah.
McMurtry did? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
Good
wild.
Good
It's
for
nuts.
Sir McMurtry.
I know.
Is that his name? Is that a person's name?
I don't really know.
McMurtry's
Sir's
got
not
it.
normally a name. It's normally what you
right.
get given when you're knighted.
Right. Which that car is so fast, it should be.
Yeah, possibly. But they drove
You
in a
should
way.
get knighted if you have the record.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
So yesterday was really wet.
Yeah.
Really wet. And
Did you see it go up in the wet?
No, that's what I'm about to say.
Oh, sorry.
So it drove to the start line. I was speaking to Max Chilton, who was driving it, and he said, so I thought I'd do a pull away, and it did 0 to 60 in 1.6 seconds. It was like an inch of water on the road.
Wild.
Yeah.
I watched it go by, and something that should have been very fast was in front of it.
Yeah.
It wasn't very fast because it was wet.
Yeah.
And then a vintage F1 car was behind it, and it looked like it was like walking.
Yeah.
I mean, and then this thing was just like full speed, basically. It was insane.
Yeah, it's nuts. And it's got 2 tons of downforce the whole time at standstill. So
And it sounds like a Harrier.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like a car.
yeah, and for people that don't know, it's because it's got fans.
Yeah.
that
Have
you
suck
driven
to
it?
the road? No.
No.
I
Because that
never
seems
have.
like, speaking of things that wouldn't work on a crown surface,
Yeah.
those skirts are very important. And,
Yeah.
especially at speed in the wet and whatnot. So
Yeah.
that
Well,
must
that's
be a little bit dangerous.
what Chris Harris was saying about it off our show was that you have to drive the center line of the driveway, otherwise you lose the downforce.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, then a bump, I guess.
Yeah.
You lose downforce.
Yeah.
And if it fails, I mean, it's a plane crash.
Yeah.
But it hasn't,
Yeah.
so it's all okay.
It's making its own gravity. It's amazing.
But what I did read or see in the video was that if you get oversteer, you still have max downforce.
don't
It's not
lose.
like a wing. You don't lose the downforce
Yeah.
if you get oversteer,
So-
which is pretty crazy.
so you can
stuff.
drift it.
Yeah,
I want to see that.
I think that.
Or would it
did,
not just change direction immediately?
One of the guys tried to drift it, and it was tough.
I think Catchpole.
I think Henry Catchpole
He was
tried,
on a figure eight
and it
with
was
it.
pretty tricky.
Yeah,
it's
I
very
think you've
sticky.
got to get. Well, you can't do a figure eight. You need to get some serious speed.
You
up
probably
there.
have to do like 150 miles
Yeah,
an hour
to try and
or something.
drift it.
Try to slide. It's probably nuts.
Yeah.
So are you driving? You drove F1 cars every year.
Yeah.
Until you retired.
Yeah, pretty much.
And, then
yeah.
what since?
Well, I drove current and slightly previous F1 cars, and I drove old F1 cars as well. I drove a 1902 Renault.
Oh,
up the hill.
that's kind
Cool.
of fun.
Yeah,
It's real chugga
awful.
chugga.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Like
I don't
7 minutes.
Yeah, it is, but the gearbox is like I don't understand it. So it's only first, second, third. So it's like a sequential. But getting it into the gear is really difficult.
Yeah.
But I don't understand how. It's not like you're wiggling it around trying to find it.
It's usually just more force.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah,
there's like a chung
you
bell
can go
sound.
past it really easy.
It's in a row?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
it's just straight
scary.
back.
Yeah.
And it was outside the car as well.
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah. So that was an experience. Leather hat.
At least you went uphill, though.
Yeah.
If you were going down, you want to talk about scary, is
that's
driving
scary.
one of those cars down a hill.
Yeah.
Zach and I almost died at 26 miles an hour in a 1902 Packard.
It's really proper scary.
The wheels almost came off the goddamn
Because when
thing.
you're at 26 miles an hour, it's already too quick to jump out.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You start doing the math and looking, where's this? Should I jump at the grass or just into the
Yeah,
lane?
it's not guaranteed survival.
And do you jump into the air and get your legs moving really fast?
And you're in a duster.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, with loafers, you know.
Not the most comfy thing.
Did you wear, in that car, did you wear your current racing outfit
No,
or
I
period
wouldn't.
dress?
Period, yeah. Which made it look kind of okay.
Yeah.
Is there a car you've driven like a favorite that stands out?
Oh, that's a tricky one. I've driven a lot of wonderful cars. I've driven one of Prost's McLarens up the hill, which was, I think, one of the first turbo cars.
Oh, that's got to be.
Did it even spool up, I guess, on the first straight? Oh,
so that's the thing, you accelerate and nothing. It's flat. There's nothing. It's like, is this it? And then suddenly it kicks in, it spools up, and it hits you in the back of the head like nothing else. And I think those cars still surprise me, and you think they're the quickest things in the world, but they're not.
Yeah.
But it feels like it because you're not in control of it. You know, with everything now, there's no lag in anything, is there, right?
Right.
Any car, you know, nowadays. So they just fill in the gap with all the electric systems.
Yeah,
So,
are those like late 80s and early 90s?
Yeah.
Are they just like, oh my God, this is like overwhelming kind of stuff?
nuts. It's like, I don't know if you've ever driven an F40.
I actually can't. My body doesn't fit in one, but it's a bummer.
Sorry.
But I know it, but I can understand.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. And you can understand why most of them ends up in trees because you get nothing and then suddenly you get everything.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're not in control of it with the throttle because it's not like you've applied the throttle gradually and you understand where the torque is. You get nothing. And then suddenly you get to a certain rev and you get it all.
Yeah.
And then how much, what's the power band from when that hits to when you should shift?
It's like nothing.
So it's moments.
Yeah.
And
God.
it's an H pattern
H
or a
pattern.
levered.
Yeah. H pattern.
That's
Wild.
crazy.
Yeah. So
Those onboard videos from the late 80s,
Yeah.
I mean, are, you know, the one Senna in Monaco or any of those are just so insane.
Monaco is the one. I mean, most of the circuits back then were quite fast. They weren't like these little chicanes or hairpins, but Monaco was Monaco.
Yeah.
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
So it's nuts that they drove those things. And then they were putting out 1,100, 1,200 horsepower in qualifying. They think because the dynos didn't go that high, they couldn't tell.
It would be fun
what
to
horsepower
dyno
was.
one today with
That's
like
true.
with a better dyno.
Yeah.
And take off the GTR with the fire tune and put on like Senna's MP44 or something.
I mean, Monaco, like, what are the two fastest sections? The slight uphill where it zigs a little bit.
Yeah, that's easy flat load.
That's bananas.
Yeah.
I mean, but with 1,200 horsepower, I mean, for you, it's easy,
Yeah.
I guess, but it just still seems like it's narrow.
Yeah.
And is the road perfect or not with 1,200 horsepower exploding behind
and
you?
it wasn't then. It's better now than it was then.
And then going through the tunnel and heading to 90
The
degree
tunnel's the
corner.
one because when I raced, it was always flat, like 180 miles an hour, which is nuts.
Yeah.
Because your eyes take a while to get used to it as well.
So it's not
Oh,
just
yeah.
the camera, your eyes.
Oh, yeah.
When you see videos of that, you go, he can't see right there.
No, you can't.
Okay.
And that's why there's been so many shunts there if cars slow down in the tunnel because you can't
Right.
see it until you're on them. But back then, they would have lifted as well. It would have been like that. Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Big ball stuff.
So seeing those cars, you know, and some people, you know, the really talented drivers that are running those up the hill, when it's dry, it looks and sounds amazing. In the wet, it was a little bit putt because, you know,
horrific. I mean,
like,
I drove up the hill yesterday, and it was the slowest I've ever driven.
really?
A racing
At
car.
driving what?
The Radford, the Pikes
Oh,
Peak
right.
car
Yeah. But
with slicks on.
yeah, because you were not prepared. You didn't put the rain tires on, and none of these F1 cars are on rain tires or anything.
Yeah.
So, you know, there was some of the vintage ones were like, you know, pretty slow, but it's still cool to hear them. And,
Yeah, it is.
And whatnot. And
I know this isn't Goodwood, but like, the British Grand Prix last week, I drove Nigel Mansell. Nigel Mansell was 1992 World Championship winning car, which
That's
is a
pretty cool.
14B. And you look at it, and it's the most beautiful race car I've ever seen. You get in it, and it's tiny. The steering wheel's tiny. The pedals, you're like, why did they design it like this? But as soon as you...
paddles?
Yeah. But you still have to blip on the downshift.
Okay.
But it's an active car.
Oh, it's a band active car.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you
that was the 1 year they allowed
Yeah.
that to work.
And
Okay.
then that's why Ayrton Senna
Right.
went to Williams.
Right.
And then
because
they
of
banned it.
that. Yeah.
But I remember him walking past the garage. There's great footage in '93, in the '92 season, and the car's doing this.
Yeah,
he's just stood there shaking his head.
I think that footage is in the film Senna.
It is.
It makes it into the movie, and it might have made it into the movie One as well.
Okay,
which is my favorite racing documentary.
I've not seen it.
You haven't seen One?
No.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, it's really, really good.
Okay.
Yeah, just the number one, which makes it almost impossible to Google, by the way.
Yeah.
Just Googling the number one is like a nightmare.
48 million results.
Yeah. It's been used before for something?
Yeah, it's horrible.
Did you get to do a bunch of laps in that car?
I only did 2 because someone fell out, ran out of talent and fell off the circuit.
Oh,
so
no.
I did 2 laps, which was a shame.
Did you feel the active?
It was unbelievable.
So
it was
still good.
So fast.
30 years later, still good.
I spent the whole 2 laps laughing.
Really?
Because in high-speed corners, and your head's like, you're right out the car.
Yeah.
Your shoulders are out.
Yeah.
But so fast in high-speed corners. It felt like a modern F1 car.
Could you feel it lean into the corner, or did it
No,
just
because
stick
that's not what
better?
it does. So you don't get any lateral movement. So it starts to move and then it stops.
Oh, so
it
it's
sits
active anti-roll control.
Yeah.
So it's like the
Exactly.
48 volts today, but just
Yeah,
obviously different
and it
system. Okay.
understands what ride height it should be at certain parts of the circuit. So it's always at the perfect ride height. So
Clever.
there's sparks flying off it the whole time.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so when you come out the pitch, you've got to start the engine, and then just before you go, you have to activate the gearbox, and that goes, lowers the car to the ground, and then you pull away. And if you forget to turn the gearbox off when you come in, they can't move the car.
Oh, it freezes it.
Yeah, well, basically because it's so low that they can't push it around the paddock.
It's like it's hard part.
Yeah, it's like
it can't
hard
be stolen.
part. Yeah, it's hard part. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's insane, and it was just unbelievable.
That has to be. I can't believe it still works. That has to be a very, very special treat to actually get.
Yeah.
I mean, so few people get to try that,
I know.
even at your level.
And it's the guy, and it's the racer. It's the car that Nigel crossed the finish line to win the world championship.
Wow.
How many of those exist? Do you think?
3, I think.
Okay.
Seb Vettel's got one.
Oh, he does.
He's won 5 Grand Prix. He drove it last year at Silverstone.
Someone said I took a picture of a whole line of cars. There was 2 McLaren F1s. There was a McLaren F1 car, not the McLaren F1.
road
And
car.
someone commented on my Instagram that was Seb's collection. That those were all his cars. But I'd never heard that before, that Seb owned 2 McLaren F1.
I don't think he's got a road
GTRs.
car, as far as I know. He definitely has a McLaren race car, one of Ayrton's, I think, which he's driving tomorrow.
A Formula One car.
Yeah.
Okay. That actually probably was the one
Yeah,
that.
but not a road car.
Oh, okay. There was a couple. The Lark one. Which is
that livery.
so pretty.
So
that
cool,
color.
isn't it?
And then there was a long tail.
Yeah.
Which I think they look a little weird, but who cares? It's a fucking long tail.
I thought Lewis owned that one, the Lark, but maybe not.
I don't know. He might.
Hamilton, he's a racing driver.
You may have heard of him.
Who does
Yeah.
he drive for?
Yeah.
He tried to do a thing where he got rid of
Mercedes.
his fast road cars because he tried to say it was wasteful for the environment or something. It was bullshit.
He also got rid of his jet.
That one really props to him.
Yeah.
That one
But he should have
straight up
destroyed it though, shouldn't he? Really?
Yeah, he should have crushed it on video for the lulls, and then
it
put his
up.
dog in there.
Like a Russian YouTuber.
But
Exactly.
Drop G-Wagons from the sky.
Yeah.
You know?
The billion views or something.
Parked classic cars are not bad for the environment, my friends. They're all right.
They are
Yeah,
okay.
they're okay.
They are okay. It's apart from Goodwood, where they all run.
Yeah, but that's okay.
Yeah.
There's all these alternative. Sorry,
go ahead.
There's all these alternative. Everyone's running their alternative fuels now.
It's true, and that
Yeah.
Seb did that last year when he drove
Yeah.
at Silverstone in
Yeah.
Nigel Mansell's car. He had
Yeah.
biofuels in it
Yeah,
I don't know
think
how long
one of
it
the cars
lasted.
he's driving here
before a rebuild, but
really just eats all the seals.
oh wow,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like E85, too
Yeah.
long it gums
yeah,
everything up.
exactly.
Yeah.
I think it is. I do think it is the future of motor racing. But I mean, a thimbles
Yeah.
$50, isn't it? At the
Yeah.
moment?
Right
It's
now, yeah.
super expensive.
But I mean, Formula One as a racing series, it doesn't use all that much fuel.
Most efficient engines.
I mean, they're efficient engines. You're only doing one. You're doing one tank a race, one tank for practice. It's not like Le Mans or even NASCAR, where it's actually relatively efficient.
What's
by
wrong with
racing.
NASCAR?
I mean,
Nothing. I want to talk about NASCAR, but they use more.
I agree.
use more fuel.
I agree. It's unbelievable how efficient they are now.
Yeah.
I mean, the fuel that the company that Porsche invested heavily in, I think it's $50 a liter right now for the fuel they're making, which they use solar and wind energy for. But if they scale it and the price comes down, it's not insane for motor racing.
We all hope that's the case.
We do,
because we can't
50
have
a liter.
electric
We like
cars.
these things.
It's not like it's 50,000 a liter.
No,
Like 50 a
exactly.
liter is still like It's only one decimal place from where we
that's
need
like a
it.
tenth.
No, exactly.
It's a tenth of Red Bull's catering budget, right?
Well, how much is the fuel cost that you put in your car?
Oh, with the additive.
In
It's
my
a
pink car,
fortune.
if I use real race gas, then it's like $10 a gallon. But I don't. I use an additive, which costs me like $6 a tank.
So that's 20%. Of where biofuels are at the moment.
Yeah. But you need to drive that car. It's fucking crazy.
I would love
it's
to.
the best car.
Would
When
love
you come
to.
back to town, you got to drive it.
We'll bring my Cassis.
Yes. Can we talk about that?
Yes, we can.
JB got a Cassis red Singer, and it is fire with asymmetrical seats.
That's so awesome.
That's the shit.
I'm the seat man.
That is the shit.
Because you remember the GT2 RS you had of mine that had comfort seats.
No, I didn't have it. I stored it for its current owner, but it's awesome.
Explain
that
what
was
you've
a G
done.
Move.
Explain what you did with the seats for people that haven't seen your text messages.
Okay, so well, first of all, a Singer is a reimagined Porsche.
Yes, of course.
No
one knows what that is.
It's a resto mod.
Yes.
Just so we all know.
You're not going to get in trouble. Did you sign to the waiver?
For registration purposes, it's a resto mod.
It's a 1990 Porsche 964.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Trying to insure it's interesting. So how much is it worth? This much. Really? For a 1992 Porsche? They've gone up in value. I missed the boat on that one. So that was interesting. But no, the interior is it's beautiful. They're all beautiful.
Yeah.
But it's a woven seat, and it's like a creamy colored seat leather with teal and a cassis red stripe in it.
Yeah.
Which is cool. But I went for asymmetric seats. So my driving seat is a racing seat. It's like a Recaro. And then the passenger seat is a comfort seat for the wife.
Brilliant. And because it folds forward and you could put, do you have a back seat? Oh, you didn't do a back seat?
No, it doesn't fold forward.
It doesn't?
It's supposed to, but they don't.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought they did.
No. So I'm like, right,
really
I can fold it forward. And it goes, but because they put so much material in it doesn't fold forward.
Did you find that out when you took delivery?
Yeah. They're trying to get the kids in the back.
Oh, no.
They can't get
You did this whole thing to get the
Yeah.
kids in the back and you can't. Oh.
But it's good because it looks great. And it
Why
means
did
the
you
kids don't
decide
get
on
dirty.
Cassis Red, and was it because I had a Cassis Red Safari
Totally.
car?
It's all because of you. No, because I actually went for Irish green.
Uh-huh.
Rob from Singer said, "Oh, JB, you got to get Irish green." So I'm like, "Okay, I get Irish green. It's nice." And then 2 weeks before they painted the car, Maz from Singer said, "You do know there's a Irish green Singer in Santa Monica?" And I was living in Bel Air at the time. I was like, "What?" So like 3 miles away from
I
me,
thought
there's
they wouldn't
another.
paint to the same color. Have they gotten rid of that because they've built enough
I think
cars?
you run out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
you
only
run
so
out
many
of
colors.
Yeah.
And then I saw it and it looked lovely. It looked really nice. But mine looks really, really nice.
Cassis is the best color.
Yes. I was going
It's a
through.
different color in every type of light.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. And because I wanted a Porsche color, but I didn't want one that was already on a Singer, I looked through everything. And then I got to the 80s Porsches and I saw it and I was like, that looks really cool.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there you have it. So it was a complete coincidence.
But it's such a pretty color. It
It's
works
lovely.
so well. And I haven't seen it in person, but the photos are, it's so pretty.
Yeah.
I love this car.
We need to get them together.
Yeah, for sure.
Ooh, that'd be good.
And you definitely have to drive mine because you will like it. The racing drivers, they like it.
Cool.
Before I want to talk about one more thing about Goodwood, and then I want to talk about NASCAR. I think Rob from Lotus told me that you were driving 6 or 7 different cars up the hill this year. How many different cars were you supposed to before today drive?
It's 4.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm doing multiple runs in different cars.
Okay. So even in you being one of the best racing drivers in the world, all the experience you have, these are very short runs.
Yeah.
On very cold tires in wildly different cars.
Yeah.
Does that either intimidate you, or are you able to mentally prepare for that, or do you just go, I don't care about the time, so I'm just going to do this? Or do you even have to think about it?
It's different for different cars. Last year I did the time trial up the hill in an electric rallycross car, which had 800 horsepower, and we were 8th overall, so it was actually pretty quick.
Yeah.
But that had like super sticky tires, 4-wheel drive, so you get yourself out of trouble. With most of the cars, you're never going to get tire temperature, especially the fronts and the brakes as well. So you do take it a bit easier. You know, the F1 car, you do burnouts. I'm driving the Lotus Evija up the hill, which is 2,000 horsepower. And you're like, but it's a road car, it'll be fine. It's aggressive. It's got so much power. It's got 500 horsepower per corner.
Yeah.
When you think about that, I mean, you've tuned your Spider, right? And it's got a shitload of power.
That's all of it. That's all of it. Yeah.
I've got that on my left front.
I've driven the Ramatz. Excuse me. Which so it's in that same kind of world. I think the Lotus is a little lighter, but I still. It is deeply disturbing when you apply that much power, how fast it gains speed.
Yeah, totally. And I think the thing is with the Lotus, it's a lot lighter.
Yeah.
So I think that also makes it a little bit trickier off the line because you can just sit there and spin all 4 tires up.
Which you should do.
Which I recommend.
Which is the idea.
Yeah. Is there an axis spins mode for the...
Yeah, exactly. But it's an insane amount of power. But for me, the speed of the thing is phenomenal. But... it's when you look at the car itself, it's a work of art.
It is.
It's a monocoque tub.
We saw the black one up on the top of the thing.
They did.
It was wild.
Beautiful.
In the JPS livery.
Yeah, so from the front of the car to the back, it's all one piece.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
We're going to go on Monday to the factory where they build them. And that's the thing. Rob was like, you have to see it, empty and unpainted and to really appreciate it.
You'll see my car.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it also cassis red? Because it should be.
I went racy.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it's actually my Brawn colors.
Oh, rad.
That's
so,
cool.
Just white?
No, it's
blank?
Exactly, no sponsors. So, no, it's white. The first part of the car is white, and then it's got a fluorescent yellow stripe over it.
Oh, that's cool.
And then the back of the car is black.
Did you have to buy that trademark from someone? Do you have to ask someone's permission to do that?
I did ask Ross Brawn.
And was he cool with it?
Well, I've done it on everything. So I had a GT3 team in the UK doing British GT, and I called him up and said, Ross, I'd love to use the color scheme. He said, of course, JB, of course. And now I've used it on everything. I raced a trophy truck in Baja. My Extreme E team's the same colors.
It's good luck.
It is. And now my Lotus Evija is.
Oh, that's rad. I can't wait to see that.
And then I'll be driving it for the first time at Monterey.
Kick ass. I will be there as well.
Cool. We'll have a little go in it.
I really want to have a go in it. It looks so cool.
It is.
It's a very, very gnarly looking thing.
And I know EV, everyone's like, oh, they sound rubbish. And most of them do. But this sounds like, I don't know what. It's like they've put something through the speakers. They haven't. It's completely natural, but it sounds like you're taking off.
The yesterday when we heard the Audi like Dakar thing run up the hill, that sounded pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, these things make some sound.
Yeah.
It's just a different sound.
But that's got a generator.
Oh, does it?
Sound
it's got an engine.
Oh yeah.
It's got an engine.
I didn't know. I don't know if it was running.
So it's got an engine to charge the electric, which I always love. So it's a gasoline car with electric power.
Yeah,
then.
in theory.
Like it's like an i3. Just tell them it's like an i3 and they'll be very happy.
You just mention the electric before you mention the engine.
I don't know if it was running when that thing went up the hill. I don't know.
Okay.
It did sound kind of cool, though. It did make some interesting
sounds. Very quick.
When I last saw you 3 months ago in Austin, it was the night before your first ever NASCAR race. And I didn't see you afterwards because you were mobbed. But you gave an amazing interview to some reporter that I watched on YouTube, and it was really honest and funny about your experience. And I watched you move positions up and back and up. You swung like 10, 12 positions throughout the grid during the race. It was pretty interesting to see. So how did that go for you? What did you think of racing that on a road course at COTA?
Yeah, well, I did 13 laps in practice, which we know because we talked about.
Yeah, dinner. I go, how's it going? He goes, I've driven 13 laps and I have to race tomorrow. Like, shit, that seems like not a lot.
Yeah, so it wasn't best. And then qualifying is 1 lap basically. So I qualified 24th, which, in F1, that's off the grid because there's only 20 cars. But in NASCAR, it was 39.
Yeah.
Solid so mid-pack. It was kind of okay. And then the race was just nuts. I'm like, it's fine. I'm a racing driver. I can do this. And I went from 24th to 36th very quickly.
But then you came back.
Yeah, because they just muscle you out of the way.
Well, they use a different track layout.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
anyone else does, which is so entertaining to watch. But it's part of your interview with the.
But it's not just that they put their nose wherever they can, and they know you can't turn in because they can hit you and get away with it. You don't get penalized.
The exit of turn 1 was like 4 cars off the rumble strip. It was insanity.
Yeah, and then you got to try and get through turn 2 where there's a bump.
Yeah.
These cars, you think they're big, they're heavy, the suspension is going to be great. They don't have suspension because they got this silly little diffuser at the back that everyone thinks it does so much. So and the only way it works is if it's on the ground, the diffuser, connected to the ground. So they just take all the suspension out of it, run it on the bump stops.
Whoa. That's
crazy. Or the limiter, as they call it.
Yeah.
And that's how you drive it. So every bump you hit, it just springs you off the track.
Oh, my God.
Have you driven V8 supercars?
Never.
Okay, I was curious like how they feel differently. Because I know they're a different construction.
I have, but not the new one. I drove the old one around Bathurst for like 4 laps.
How did they feel by comparison?
That felt easier to drive than the current Cup car.
Okay.
But then I spoke to, because I've done 2 races now. I've done a race since.
Which is also a road course?
Chicago street.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which was nuts. So qualified 8th, which I was disappointed with qualifying 8th, which is great because I got held up by Joey Logano.
That's very good.
Joey Logano, number 22 as well, my best number, favorite number, and he held me up.
Kind of good.
Screwed me.
He's kind of good at NASCAR.
Yeah, so I qualified 8th. He qualified 9th. So I chuffed a bit. So I beat him. Out qualified Kyle Busch as well.
Nice.
Yeah. And then the race started, and it was a little different. But no, it was. But I spoke to Van Gisbergen. I don't know if you know Shane Van Gisbergen.
I know who he is. I don't know him personally.
So he basically jumps in everything, and he's unbelievably quick. I think he's a double or a triple V8 supercar champion.
Yeah.
And he just won something else like last week.
Well, that was the race.
Well, he won Chicago and then something else, but it continued.
Yeah. And he said the Cup cars are actually quicker than the V8 supercars.
Oh, interesting.
So he said it's actually easier, he says, to go from the V8 supercars to the Cup car because it's nicer to drive.
It's like driving Miatas. Yeah.
Like, it's a little different from what I'm used to. But,
that's funny.
But no, it was awesome. I absolutely loved the race. Amazing show.
So do you like rubbing now?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, and I still got pissed in the race when someone hit me, but I just made sure I hit him back even harder. And then you laugh your head off because you're like, what's he gonna do?
And then when you're rubbing and bumping, does that start to change the shape of the car, which then changes the aero on the street circuit? Or is that less important?
Well, it would have in an old NASCAR, but the new ones, they've made them so stiff that there's no marks or anything.
Nice.
So it isn't though, because people hit you so hard now.
You want it to give a little bit.
Yeah, so you get no give.
Consequence now.
There's no consequences at all.
Wow.
So it makes it a little tricky, but great racing. I thought it made great TV. So
how'd you like the street circuit versus COTA? Obviously polar opposites almost.
COTA I didn't like because people just run everywhere, right? So you make a mistake, and it's you just run off the track and come back on. There you make a mistake, you're in the wall. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I love that. There are a few areas that are a little dodgy.
Precision required.
Yeah, but there are a few areas that are a little dodgy that wasn't runoff. So like turn 1, if you got it wrong, you're like into the wall.
Yeah,
it's like not 100 yards of runoff like F1 has. So it was a little different, but it was really good fun. I've got one more race in Indianapolis, so.
Was the grip changing every like 5 laps in Chicago as rubber got put down?
Yeah, in qualifying, and then in the race it was wet.
Right.
So it started wet and it dried throughout, but still with rivers running across the track. So it was challenging. But the rate, if you like NASCAR or not, if you don't like NASCAR or you think they just turn left, watch Chicago. It's one of the best races I've seen on TV.
Do you want to try an oval?
No.
Why?
Because I have no idea what I'm doing. And I just know someone's going to wreck me immediately.
At 190 miles
That's
an hour.
Exactly. It's not like, and there's no runoff.
Yeah.
You're straight into a wall.
Yeah.
I would like to do Daytona. Because you just go full.
You've driven a car on an oval before, though,
yeah,
right?
which is weird.
Yeah, it is. But it's kind of awesome.
Yeah. I drove the NASCAR Le Mans car.
Right.
At Daytona. Because we did the circuit, but you do part of the banking, and I got on the banking, and it freaked the hell out of me because you don't know where to look. You're like this. You've leant over,
and then you got to look up.
Yeah, right. To try and see where the track is. And
could you see up in that car?
Or
was it blocked?
You could. Okay. But I mean, the first lap, I did come off the throttle on the banking.
Banking bugs you out the first time, right? Yeah. I've done it in like some pretty fast street cars.
Yeah.
And I've never done it in race cars, but I've still done it like 160, 170 miles an hour. And it bugs you out.
Weird.
It's really
and
different.
The feeling is quite weird, the G-force, because it's not lateral, it's vertical.
Yeah. It's fun though.
Yeah, it is good. It is good.
So the Garage 56 car it's sort of marketed as a NASCAR-esque car, but it's not. It's different.
The basics are there. It's got an engine and a tubular frame, and it looks like a Chevy.
Yeah.
But no, they did a lot of work on it. They wanted to keep it looking like a cup car because that's the whole thing, is about bringing NASCAR to Le Mans so the fans can see it and hopefully start following NASCAR.
It definitely made its presence known at Le Mans.
Wow.
I mean, on the videos, it was very much
sound.
different from the other cars there, which is awesome.
Yeah, the amount of videos I saw with massive views as well. Basically, everyone just going, America! We took it to the Europeans. There's videos of it passing a Ferrari and then passing an LMP2 car.
Yeah.
And then, what the fuck is a kilometer? That came out a lot as well.
You got to write all those slogans on
Have
the
you
side of
rate
the car.
on the bumper? What the fuck is a kilometer?
Yeah, exactly.
I put that on the underside of the rear wing. That'd be sick.
Did they change the suspension so that was not riding on the bump stops?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And we had downforce. We didn't have any regulations. So just what Jim France, basically who owns NASCAR, he said, we got to keep it looking like a NASCAR. We can't put a spoiler on it. A rear wing. We don't want to change the diffuser. And we had everything else to play with. So
in your opinion, did it work pretty well as a Le Mans car?
This is going to sound weird to people that follow all the stuff I've raced in the past. But I was with Chad Knaus, who was really the head of the program. I was with Jimmy Johnson for years in NASCAR. And I said to him last night, I have to say that was the nicest car I've ever driven.
Really?
Yeah.
In terms of dynamics or comfort or
everything.
What? Really?
You get in it and it's like an armchair. And it's just, the whole time you're just smiling because of the noise. Yeah. It's so loud. And it just does everything you want it to. The first test I drove it felt heavy. So it took me a while to get used to it. But, even at Goodwood, I drove it in the wet and I drove it down to the turnaround point before the start. The easiest car to spin round, and drift out of that corner and
good balance.
It's just solid. The guys did such a good job, and it shows how good Hendrick Motorsport are at developing a car. You don't see it in NASCAR because there's a lot of parts that's the same for everyone. Mm-hmm. So no, it is an amazing accomplishment to take it to Le Mans, finish Le Mans, and to be as quick as it was with the basic car that they started with.
Well, and when in NASCAR, it's like the stuff you can see all looks the same.
Yeah.
The driving it's so close. You're talking about a tenth or two is the difference between first and fifth. And the stuff that makes the cars drive different, no one can see. Spring rate or whatever it is. Whereas you bring it to Le Mans and it's, here's this prototype and here's this GT3 and you could go, okay, how does it compare to those things? And you go, holy shit, it's like quite competitive.
It is.
Yeah.
And the LMP cars were struggling to overtake us on the straight.
Those videos were so wild to watch because you go, okay, well, the spaceship is now going to depart and leave the NASCAR behind. And then you ran down the spaceship, at least it looked like up until really high speed and then maybe drag, became a factor.
So inefficient.
What is your top speed in that car?
We hit 316 kilometers now, which is just under 200.
Yeah.
And you could think the drag we had, that rear spoiler was like 7 inches tall.
Yeah.
And vertical.
And pretty straight up.
Yeah. So no, it was a weapon. And it was weird after the race because it's over. That's it. That car's not racing ever again.
Really?
Yeah. So we bringing it here and jumping in it again was cool.
Can you buy it and paint it white with green streaks on it? Hey Ross, I got another one for you.
Exactly.
You mind lending me the colors?
Yeah, so we need to find a series for it to race in. But no, so I'm hoping that tomorrow is going to be nice and dry because I want people to see that car at full speed.
Yeah.
It's quick, and when it's at full throttle, holy moly, it sounds good.
Yeah.
It's so loud.
What is it making for power? Like 900 or something?
Nowhere near that.
Really?
It's 700, I think, just over 700.
Okay.
The normal NASCAR engines, I think, are 620, I think.
Yeah, with the
yeah, exactly. So
please.
it's not crazy power, but it sounds like it's 3,000 horsepower.
Yeah.
True American.
I mean, the vintage NASCARs that were running up the hill yesterday
sound good.
were louder than almost anything except for like the 787.
Yeah.
And it's a different tone, of course.
Yeah. I love those early 90s NASCARs. That's that Days of Thunder shit. Man, I fucking love those era cars.
The angular one.
And you can buy them
So cheap.
You can buy one for like $40,000.
Yeah.
Like that, as long as Bill Elliott or Dale Earnhardt didn't drive it, or like Rusty Wallace, like some no-name guy
Martin.
drives this thing, like you could buy these things for nothing and have a little toy.
And they do
LS3 in
nothing
it.
you want them to do.
Yeah.
They
They
seriously-
weigh
Except
4,000
sound good and
pounds.
scare you.
That's the only thing,
which
yeah.
is everything you want them to do.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
Do you drive a lot? So, this NASCAR was a huge adjustment because of everything we've talked about so far. But also, most of your racing career was focused on the lightest, fastest thing in the world. Have you driven a lot of fast street cars on track in between that would help you get used to this 4,000 pound thing? Or was it such a giant leap because of your history?
Yeah, no, did nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
So,
you haven't driven a CTSV very much, which will get you ready for this.
No, not at all. I don't even know what it is.
Great.
So,
Just my question.
so basically, I went from racing single seaters for 20 years, and then I raced in Super GT in Japan, which weighs 1,000 kilos, I think. So super
Small,
light,
yeah.
2,200 pounds. And then I raced one GT3 race. I did Baja. There you go.
There you go.
There you
did
go.
Baja in a
6,000
trophy truck.
pound truck.
Yeah, there you go. So I did drive something heavy, but you didn't have to stop it. It wasn't quick. Yeah, I mean, all I've done lately is drive the Radford. So doing all the track stuff in the Radford road car, which has no aero whatsoever. So, and it's super light. So no, nothing. So when I first jumped in the NASCAR Garage 56 car, I hadn't raced a car for 2 years.
Wow.
So it was a massive shock. And for the first 5 laps, I thought I'd made the biggest mistake in my life.
Felt like a bus.
Yeah.
So great.
I came in, I was like, guys, I don't know if I can do this.
And they're like, Ross Braun said you could.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but you get to grips with it pretty quick. We learn to adapt, and that's what we do.
To go back a little bit, when you were in COTA and you're getting hit, or Chicago, are you jumping on the radio and calling back to, the pits and like, is this allowed? And they're like, that's allowed. Yeah, get in there. Or
Bitching like F1.
Yeah.
In F1, I would have been.
Okay.
Definitely. Because you know that there's, they can get a penalty for it, but in NASCAR they can't. So you just need to really listen to your spotters. And if someone puts their nose in, you just got to give them room. But you also learn that, so you can dive bomb people.
Yeah.
And they can't turn in.
Someone at that race in COTA eventually did get penalized for cutting that. They were
S's you were not
cutting
allowed to
the
cut.
S's like so hard. It was like, it wasn't even just 4 wheels. It was like over all the way.
You weren't
over
allowed
there.
to make the S's straight, is what the commentator said.
People were doing
Some
it.
people were.
Yeah,
to
people
make
were
up
just
time.
doing it. It was crazy.
So
that was
there
a fun race to
So
watch.
there are some regulations, just not many.
Allegedly.
But then listen to this. So then I was coming into the pits in Chicago, and I was like, this is my time. I'm going from wet tires to dry tires. This is when I make my move. So I pull across to the right-hand side before I enter the pits, and it's a sharp 90-degree corner into the pits. I'm like, right, move across so he knows I'm coming in. And then I went through the corner, ran a bit wide, and he just took the advantage of just slapping me in the side of the car and turning me around. And he turned me around, I was facing the wrong way, and I lost like 15, 20 seconds.
God.
Had to spin it back again, almost crashed into Joey Logano again. And I came in after the race, I'm like, why didn't he see me? Why did he not know what I was doing? I know I made the mistake of going deep. And the guys went, should have told you. You're supposed to wave out the window that you're coming in. It's like
supposed to wave.
supposed to wave, like
Wave?
Like a point by?
hiya.
God.
Yeah,
NASCAR is so fucking hokey sometimes.
I
with this
know.
stuff. You're supposed to wave?
yeah. Maybe I should have asked.
Hey man,
that.
they didn't
simplest
tell you?
technology don't break.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You wave at them out the window.
Don't you have a net there though?
There is,
can
but there's
you
a
even-
gap.
You can put your hand up.
And meanwhile, the Le Mans,
you
they
gotta
have
give 'em a
cameras
point by.
that
Yeah, they tell you
indicate in your
everything.
screen
Yeah.
that tell you there's a car coming.
Yeah, so you wave them.
Do you like the night stints at Le Mans?
I absolutely love it.
You do?
It's the best time. Well, sunset and sunrise are the best time.
Do you kind of settle in, or
Oh,
is it?
It's amazing. I mean, the sun sets tough because the sun's in your eyes a lot of the time. But sunrise, it's actually a really emotional moment because it's like coming from that really tough nighttime driving into the daylight, and you're almost home. You still have another 6 hours to go.
8
But
hours at least.
yeah, but it's a really cool time, and people are waking up. You can smell the barbecues. People are cooking breakfast barbecues, and it's really cool.
Man, night racing scares the shit out of me.
Really?
Yeah, but like I've never done it in anywhere I could see.
Yeah.
I've only ever done it a couple times in very, very dark places in cars that have really bad headlights.
Yeah,
Like-
the headlights weren't great, actually.
No?
You see the hypercars, they're insane. But
Yeah.
they're spending $250,000 per corner on the headlights. So, no, it wasn't the best, but you could deal with it. It was fine.
Yeah. Do they have to put lights in that? Those cars have lights?
No,
In NASCAR they
that's
don't,
the whole
right?
thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
NASCARs don't need lights
They just
because
get
the circuit's
Did
lit.
they just get like stock Camaro lights and just shove them in there?
Go down to O'Reilly's.
They spend a fortune still on
they-
lights.
okay.
Yeah. I think they came out of the Cadillac, the hypercar.
The Cadillac. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So
Just
no,
turn 'em
we had a
sideways.
lot of lights. They look cool, really cool. But yeah, still not enough. But yeah, no, great experience. But you know, as I said, last time to drive that car is tomorrow.
That's so unfortunate.
yeah.
And then where does it go? Hendrick's Museum somewhere
I
or
think
something?
there's two cars, and Hendrick is famous for always wanting 01 VIN.
Yeah.
So he has all the Corvettes,
Yeah.
01 VINs.
It's like the king of Barrett Jackson, that guy. He's
Yeah, he
always
is, isn't
buying
he?
those. Yeah.
So I think he's probably going to get 01.
Yeah.
And then Jim France will have the other one.
Oh.
So you should have a look if you're in the paddock tomorrow. You should
I
have a
will.
look.
Yeah. Well, we didn't see it the other day. Where is that? Where is it? Is it up top?
It is, yeah. So if you're in the drivers club,
it by
it's
the
basically out.
Oh, we
Radford
walked past
car?
it.
It's where all the Le Mans cars are.
Oh, did we walk by
We
it?
did.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
But we,
All right.
So that's
Lower
the
part.
second car I'm driving.
Yeah.
This is going to be a long podcast.
You're the one who's got to go to the ball, Cinderella.
And then I'm driving a Williams 8C, which is one of Keke Rosberg's car from
it's kick-ass.
1983.
Okay.
So it's a pre-carbon fiber cockpit.
Is that the car that not Tanner, I think Pat Long might have driven that car in a
raced it.
vintage Grand Prix of Long Beach.
Yeah, maybe.
Back in April. Pat Long won that race in that car, and he described it as, and I quote, fucking terrifying.
he was smiling when he said
He
it.
was smiling,
but
but he said it was very, very scary.
Yeah, it's when you get in it and you look around compared to what
He said it
we
was
drive
made of
these days.
tinfoil.
Yeah, exactly.
the old F1 cars, when you see, I mean, anyone driving, like you're a relatively tall person, especially for a racing driver, but it looks like they have shrunk a modern car like by 50% and then kept the human the same size.
Oh, yeah.
Because the shoulders are above the whole thing. It looks
Yeah.
wildly unsafe. The intake is taller than the whole car itself sometimes.
Yeah, they used to build the car and then go, right, drive it. It wasn't built around the driver back then.
So can I assume you've never driven this car before?
No, I haven't, no.
So your very first time in this car will be paddock to start line,
Yeah.
and then your second time is up the hill.
Well, I was supposed to do a seat fit today, and they got in touch and said, you need to come and do a seat fit. I'm like, I have no time to do a seat fit. I'm leaving here at like 6:30 in the morning to get in. And I'm driving the Radford up the hill first.
Yeah.
And then I'm buggy straight to get in the car. And they're like, well, you can't drive it then. I'm like, well, it's going to sit in the garage then because I haven't got any time. So we have 5 minutes before I drive the Radford to jump in and just adjust the seat belts. But yeah, I don't think they're going to do much though. If it goes wrong.
Foam in, foam out.
Exactly.
These are your options right now.
Yeah. So it's all good. No worries. So I'm driving that, which would be great. Lovely experience. I'm driving the Pikes Peak Radford up the hill.
Yeah, we saw that yesterday. You and Ant and like 5,000 people were surrounding your garage.
Yeah.
Was Renee there? Is that why?
She was.
Oh,
yeah,
that's why.
But most people don't know she's there because she wears a cap.
Yeah.
Yeah. She keeps the DL.
She does.
Yeah.
And very low as well. But no, it's great. She's really involved with Radford. It's nice to see. As is my wife. You know, she's massively backing it. And she's the reason why I'm with Anne doing this project. I was like, Anne, I'm too busy doing stuff. And she went, no, you hear him out. I'm like, have you heard Ant speak? It's non-stop. Like, I'll be there for 3 hours.
Hear him out. It's a long
fast.
dinner.
It's a long dinner.
That's,
But no, so thanks to them.
So that car is really cool. It looks vaguely like the road car with tons of aero, but it's a center seat.
Yeah, it
which
is.
the
Center seat.
shit.
It is cool.
Yeah, that's wild.
You wouldn't fit. I'm sorry to say that.
No, it's okay. I wouldn't fit. I did fit in the road car.
You sat in it.
Yeah,
How did you get out?
it was not.
It's
it was
not
not
easy.
good.
I
Let's
sat
just
in the
say it was
burgundy
not
one,
good.
man.
I sat in it when it was down at our friend's place in Huntington Beach,
Okay.
the reddish one.
Yes.
And
yeah.
Yeah.
BBI.
And it was okay. We can say that. It's not like YouTube where you can't say it.
No, it's all good.
I had to take my shoes off for sure.
Yeah.
And it was not comfortable for me at all. And getting out of it was terrible. It was hands on the ground.
Oh, was
Literally
it?
hands on the ground crawl.
There's a special way of getting out.
There probably is. It's 100 pounds less than me.
bro, dude, I sat in it. I sat in it at Radford, and it was rock climbing to get in and out. Like,
Yeah.
and I am short.
It's Ford GT40.
Yeah.
small.
It is.
It needs
definitely.
instructions
It
on how to
actually,
get in and out.
it
Yeah.
actually, in a lot of ways has a real GT40 vibe to it.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
Which is not accidental, I gather.
No, it's not. Yeah, I mean, it's very Le Mans, the styling in terms of the big wheel arches. And I love looking through the wheel arches. It just, my friend jumped in the car this weekend because he's going to do a run, I think, in it tomorrow afternoon. And he said, he's driven all sorts of things. He said, it's like driving a hypercar. It's like I'm going to race at Le Mans. And I said, yeah, that's what I love about it. And
it's especially because the seat is in the middle. That with the wraparound windshield that you guys are using really gives you that vibe.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. But it you said, I think when it went up Pikes Peak, they said it's got nothing to do with the road car. It looks a little like one, which is untrue because it has the same carbon monocoque that we offer now in the road car. The subframe front and rear is the same, apart from the part that has the big rear wing on it. So it is basically the road car. And the reason why we've also got these bolt-on wheel arches, we've kept them as bolt-on wheel arches so that it still is the actual car with bolt-ons, not a complete different clam front and rear.
Yeah.
So it is like the road car. It's just got a few things that aren't.
You're going to offer a center seat version of the road car? Because that would be sweet.
Ooh.
Yes.
That's the track special.
Really?
You can do what you want.
That's
Of course.
fucking
It's
sick.
coach building. You can put it on the roof if you want.
I mean, Ferrari's proved the business case with FXX and all these other things, like specialty track car.
I never thought they'd work. Never thought track cars would work. I thought if you can't race it, why would anyone be interested? But they are.
They sell like hotcakes.
Because they're not being sold to people who can race.
Yeah.
They're being sold to rich people.
Well, and you're limitless.
Yeah.
And we spoke about it, and we're producing a track car now, so this is the basis for it. It'll be a little different to this, but we're doing a track car which can be center seat or 2 seats, and it's like we need to make it so that it can be raceable. I'm like, you don't want it to be raceable because then you have limitations.
Yeah.
I said, people want this sort of car because you can do what the hell you want. We can have 700 horsepower and 3,000 pounds of downforce.
And I think what's made those types of cars feasible is racetrack country clubs, where now you can keep it at your house and the track are the same thing, or your garage at the track, and also trackside service from people from either Lamborghini or Ferrari themselves, or from people like O'Gara.
Yeah, they're great.
That have a setup at the track and they can take care of it.
They've been great for us, actually. We've done a lot of testing at
Thermal.
Yeah, and they've been really helpful.
That's a car for Thermal. I mean, the thing about a lot of these country club tracks is they're small.
Yeah.
And once your car is past about 400 horsepower, it becomes like a lot of car for this track.
Especially if it has a lot of downforce. Right?
Yeah, I have to say the Amira is perfect.
That's such a great car.
I drove the Evora there with my missus a little while ago, and it was like the perfect car.
That came in GT4 or an Amira or an M2, track prepped, like 400 horsepower, low 3,000 pounds. Like that's perfect for that track.
And you don't get yourself in too much trouble.
Yeah.
And you're not going too fast when it goes wrong.
Yeah, I went out to Thermal and there's like Valkyries there, and I'm like, what? You can't drive that here. Like that, you need Daytona or something for this car. Like it's too much car.
Yeah, it is. We actually took the Pikes Peak car there just to shake it down initially, and 166 miles an hour is our limiter.
Yeah.
Because it's geared for Pikes Peak.
Sure.
So he's on the limiter for like 3 or 4 seconds on the back straight. Thermal?
Yeah. You went 166 miles an hour with Thermal?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And they reached it early, and
I've
then
never-
time it wasn't.
I've never heard of anybody going that fast.
Yeah.
Thermal. That's
I mean, it's
crazy.
it's-
Maybe the Valkyrie would do it, but
it would. Definitely. Easy.
That's really fast on
it
that
is
little
quick.
track.
It is. And this is the first day it's been driven as well. So out the box.
Well, and Tanner, who's inside getting makeup put on right now, lots of it, and,
Foundation,
and hair dye.
I mean, he's not young. I didn't realize.
It's going gray, the old man.
He looks young.
I'm so excited because he's finally not looking so much younger than me anymore.
Okay, I think
he's like quite a bit older than me and has looked younger than me as long as I've known him.
Does
It
look
drives
young.
me nuts.
I think it's because he's further from the sun,
right,
isn't he? Yeah. I think that's probably why.
But the man did very well at Pikes Peak in that car.
I mean,
pretty awesome.
he's also a brave man.
Yeah.
Well, they all are. They go at Pikes Peak, but
You're driving a challenging hill tomorrow. Be fair.
Yeah, yeah, but I haven't got a cliff on one side.
Have you done Pikes Peak?
Never, and I don't want to. I was planning on it. the idea was that I was going to drive up Pikes Peak, and I did simulator work, and I did oxygen work at altitude.
And then someone goes, "Would you like to drive on the streets of Chicago in a NASCAR?" And you go, "Yes, get me out of here."
It was actually Lamar. The Lamar drive came up. I was like, "Yeah, okay." So, and I'm sorry. He's like, "But it's partly your company, and you're not going to drive our car, and you're the racing driver." I was like, "No, I know a guy that's going to do a much better job," and he did a much better job than I would have.
I mean, you probably would have done a fine job, I think.
He knows the mountain. And that makes a big difference. But the problem is we did hardly any testing before. So he's like, "You know what? I feel that we could have adjusted this and that. We would have gone 20, 30 seconds quicker." He said it's that quick. But he just didn't want to risk it.
It's a good testament to the car and to the people that built it, and also to Tanner. It came together very well, very quickly, and the result was really impressive.
Yeah.
He's very good.
He's very good. And he wouldn't drive something that he knows isn't safe to drive. Yeah. But the guy that's done a lot of work on our cars, a guy called Joe Scarbo.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know Joe.
Amazing fabricator.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
that dude he's legit.
And he actually did a lot of the geometry work for the Pikes Peak car, which is rolling over into the road car.
Is that inboard? Is it cantilevered? Suspension?
No,
it's not?
no.
Okay. I don't know why someone told me it was.
But, have you seen what he's building? Maybe I shouldn't say, but.
I know. Well, that's why I brought it up, because he's kind of like a guy who does stuff like that.
Wow. He's a genius. He really is. He's one of them. Yeah. And he's actually a nice bloke as well. And he's worked flat out for us, done such a good job. And so the car's great. And I needed someone like him involved to spend as much time behind the wheel of that car as I have. So yeah, it's been a good project, and I will finally get to drive it in anger tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
It's been long enough.
Have you not driven it at all?
I did 1 day of testing, but that was first day. I had no power steering, no ABS, no traction control. Willow Springs, little track.
Streets of Willow?
Yeah.
Streets of Willow is nice.
Yeah, it is. But when it's... I mean, the tires are massive on it on the front as well, so it's heavy.
With no power steering.
You knew there was so much more potential.
Yeah. Exactly.
Is there air conditioning in that car?
No. Oh, no. There's a fan.
Okay.
There's a fan. It's got oxygen.
So just turn the nozzle up and blow in your face.
Exactly.
Hot box it with O2. You're good to go.
No
exactly.
sparks.
But when I drive it, also it was quite quiet. But now it's got like straight pipes on it.
Someone told me yesterday. They said, I don't know what they've done, but I think whatever they've done, it's intentionally as loud as possible.
Yes. Yeah. It could not be any louder. The vibrations that come through the car are insane. And I thought the Garage 56 car was loud, but this thing's louder.
That's crazy.
Is it louder now than it was in Pikes Peak trim?
No, it's Pikes Peak trim.
It's Pikes Peak trim.
Yeah.
It's the 6, right?
What
engine is it in?
It's the V6.
It's the V6.
Yeah.
Yeah, V6 supercharged, right?
It's 710 horsepower. Wow. And that's a reliable amount of power. They think they could have done 750, but it's just not worth it.
That's a lot of power on the V6. That's awesome.
I know. The guys did such a good job. Jubu is the company in Austria. Jubu. Jubu.
I've never heard of them before. Where are they out of?
Austria.
Oh, interesting.
So they flew over for Pikes Peak. And then yesterday when we had a problem with the engine, they had to... we actually had a guy from McLaren come over, plug into the engine, and they had to do it remotely through his laptop.
Oh, wow.
Get the engine started, yeah.
Oh, cool.
So really
it's good
cool.
to have guys from McLaren just around.
I know. I'm not sure he was allowed to.
Plus, that technology is very handy that they can talk and talk and talk.
Yeah. Yeah, really good. Exactly.
Can you bring
He's like, it might wipe all my other shit off my laptop, but hey, who gives a fuck?
You can never start the F1 long tail again.
So if it
that
didn't
was
go
the
out...
only computer.
Yeah, if it didn't go out yesterday, there's a reason for it. Yeah, the McLarens. But no, it was super cool to hear it and to drive it. But yeah, tomorrow in Angle will be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's gonna be great. We're gonna come back over in the morning. You're going off like first thing, right? It's like
9:15.
Yeah.
Radford.
Okay. All right. We'll watch that.
Yeah, and then I'm driving the Williams at 10:35, and then at 3:10 the NASCAR. End it with a NASCAR.
That is a day. That is a day.
Yeah,
and
also it's the last run of the NASCAR. So it means
no
that
donuts burnout.
Just one more lap.
Fifth gear burnouts.
One more lap, coach.
Exactly.
One more run.
Exactly.
Bro.
So yeah, that should be very cool.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing. Hopefully they'll give you some like Royal Air Force kind of flyovers.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
But
I mean, the whole of the
immigrant song, something.
The legal flying over.
P-51 Mustang will just show up out of the sky for no reason.
Yeah. So no, I'm very lucky. I get to drive some very cool cars and very unique cars that are so different to what I'm used to racing.
Yeah, it's awesome. You got a spread this week, and that's great. And Evija too.
The Evija is going to be amazing. I think that's the one that's I'm most
think about it. So you have a Le Mans car, a vintage F1 car, your car,
a Pikes Peak car,
that you own, and then a 2,000 horsepower. I mean, that is a shred.
And the good thing is for me, I've driven the Evija at Hethel a couple of times, but this is the first time I've driven it in front of people, so I want to put on a good show.
Yeah.
So that's the one that's given me slight heart palpitations. And I was gonna have my car here to drive it up the hill, and I told them, I said no. I'm all right. I'll drive your test car. Oh yeah, it's done.
Oh, it is.
So when you go in, you'll see it.
I'll see it done.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll send you pictures.
You're gonna laugh.
We'll sign it.
You're gonna go, what have you?
At the paint scheme.
You're gonna, what have you done? It's basically like this dude on the floor. We've got Nadal on the wall behind us.
It does. It looks like it'll look like a '90s tennis player.
Well,
is Andre Agassi's car?
Two-tone sneakers.
Yeah.
Do you have matching outfits for it?
Oh, of course. I don't know if you ever had shell suits in America. They're probably called something very different, but you need to Google shell suits.
Okay.
They weren't fire retardant at all.
But they're
so basically, you could light your wrist, and your whole body would go up in flames.
Does it look like what the Goodwood Marshalls are wearing? Like
no,
coveralls?
They were big in the 80s.
Oh, like
track
Adidas
suit?
tracksuits?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Adidas
the plastic
suits,
ones.
Yeah, with the headband.
Oh, yeah.
So that's
my grandfather called those formal wear in his later years. Truly. Anyway.
Dude, my dad was running Foot Locker when the snap pants, the ones you just rip off, came out.
Yeah.
It was like, whoa, we got a pool then. We were ready to go.
Male strippers thanked him for years.
Oh, the Adidas tracksuit. You got a matching ones?
What, back in the day, yeah. And I might have to buy some more. I'm sure I can find some somewhere.
Yes.
Some
now
historic
there's like
ones.
real cool ones. Now you can get vintage, or you get some custom new ones.
Yeah,
that really match.
Stepping out in one of them would be amazing. I've also got white seats. Yeah, white seats with a fluorescent yellow trim.
You have to only wear white when you sit in it, then, right?
Yeah,
it'll stain.
Yeah, otherwise your jeans are gonna fuck the
so
fuck
true.
the white up.
So I have to have a certain dress code for driving the car. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't laugh at me too much.
It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. So
look, you're talking to the guy that loves stupid paint jobs.
Yeah. Good.
I mean, anything that when people understand it, they go, oh, okay. But if they don't, they go, what the fuck is wrong with this person? Like, I love that.
Yeah.
My favorite.
Good. I like your NSX, by the way.
Oh, it's good.
Nice choice.
Have you driven a bunch of them?
Yeah.
Have you? Did you win some racing one? Or did you develop it or something?
Well, I raced in one in Japan, but it was the new one.
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't really.
When was the last time you drove an old one?
2004, I think. Okay. I had a couple.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. One was blue and one was yellow.
The blue one's worth a lot of money today if it's still around.
Yeah.
Yeah, blue and orange are the really rare colors. They're worth a ton of money.
The yellow one, someone keeps posting on social that it was mine, and it wasn't ever mine, but I drove it a lot.
It's such
a nice I borrowed it. Yeah, so good until my dad drove it. My late father used to love driving my cars, and he took it round a roundabout. I think he gave it a boot, lost the rear, and he hit a curb. So it basically
tweaked the whole shit.
Just pushed the whole rear end across, and he didn't tell me. So then I went down to Brands Hatch for a day, and it was with sponsors, and I went out the pits in it, went through turn one, backed it into the gravel. I'm like, what? I've lost it. I'm only 24. So they pulled me out the gravel. I'm like, right, all right. Another passenger went up through turn one, just got through, up to turn two, hit the brakes, went in the gravel again.
Oh my God.
And then we got it back in the pits, and then they went, oh, look. And the whole rear end had sort of moved across. Luckily enough, I was handing it back.
Walking, sir.
Yeah, I was handing it back that day to get another one.
Wow. And you could, luckily
with the blue one, yeah.
And you could tell that you hadn't done that damage, like this had been done by somebody else.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And now these people put a post about it all the time are probably going to listen to this and go, "That's my car."
Did he cop to it later? Your dad?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Yeah, he did.
That's really funny.
And then he reversed through a fountain in one of my cars as well in a friend's house. Yeah, leaving. Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah, he was good like that.
Did Chris Harris ever? Did you ever hear about the story when he accidentally bought the press car that he beat the shit out of when it was a press car, and he bought it later for his mother?
What car?
It was an Audi S4, and he did like a story for like Evo magazine that was like, can you drift an S4? And he just like smoked the diff, smoked the dual clutch gearbox, and then he wanted to buy his mom a car. and he bought this car, and he was like, there was something familiar about it. It turns out it was the press car that he just destroyed like 2 years before.
Oh, he deserved it, didn't he? His mum didn't, but he did.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm glad you like it, though. If you ever miss
Very
it,
cool.
if you ever miss yours and you want to have a go, but it's yours.
Very cool.
So we'll see you tomorrow on the hill.
Yes. Are you going to you're on the Lotus Stand? We were supposed to do this on the Lotus Stand.
We were.
Have you seen it?
The stand? We were there, not today.
Unbelievable. Oh, yeah.
No,
it might have taken off today.
No.
They said
We were
it's
there
okay.
yesterday.
Unbelievable.
And it was gorgeous.
Because they had a good stand a couple of years ago, and they're like, just so you know, we got one better this year. And I arrive, it's like you see the start line, you see turn 1, turn 2. I'm like, guys,
Yeah.
you are rolling in
It's a
it.
turn
Primo
indicator now.
location.
Yeah.
Primo snacks.
Yeah.
Excellent espresso in the upstairs.
Yeah.
A bunch of cars for people to check out. People are like all over
I know.
the cars.
I did notice that. The Electra
Yeah.
looks good downstairs.
Yeah.
I drove that in Shanghai, actually, around the track.
You like
And
it?
it was great. It was the less horsepower one.
The S
But
or whatever.
I don't know what they've done with the suspension. I should know this, but I don't know what they've done with the suspension, but there's no roll.
It's got it
It's
has
got
active-
Williams 92.
No, it does. It has active anti-roll.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go, because it was awesome on the
Yeah.
track.
That's why we say we're like, this is what they're doing now. Is that
Okay,
the-
they've just
48s.
learned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's just learned in 2023
No,
that was a good car.
The first car I ever drove with active anti-roll was the X5M BMW 2014.
Okay.
Had it. It was amazing. And then Porsche started doing
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
Rolls Royce has. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd say most luxury brands now have it as
Because
an
all
option.
the cars are
Okay.
so heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they want them to handle. So they all do this
Yeah.
48 volt active anti-roll.
Especially when it's got that much power.
Yep.
It's like 800 horsepower, the big one.
900.
Oh, is it 900?
Yeah.
The Lotus ones?
Yeah. The,
Are you-
the
Oh, yeah,
Electra
you
R.
can't talk about it yet, can you? But you
No, you
drove
can.
it.
No, I can. I drove
You
it.
can now?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can.
Okay.
The embargo's off.
Okay.
It's very fast, of course.
Yeah.
It's a fast one, the R. The regular one off the line doesn't have that EV
Yeah, it
whack.
doesn't. Yeah.
It feels more like a real engine, sort of, which is
Yeah.
kind of strange and surprising. But the R is really, really quick.
Yeah.
It does squirm a little at like, as you hit 60, 70, 80, 90 in a straight line. It's kind of like pulling, like the diffs are arguing
It's like
over who gets the
torque
power.
vectoring? Oh.
It's like torque vectoring, which I thought that was a little strange. But handling wise, they had a little road coursey thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt great. I mean, it
Yeah.
felt like a good performance SUV of this time.
And you can get a massage while you're doing it.
You can, and the sound system is insane.
Yeah.
Blow your
Seat
eardrums apart.
massagers are underrated there.
I 100% need one in my cars.
Yeah.
Because if I travel for more than an hour and a half, I get backache.
So great.
Put one in your Singer for the driver's seat, but not the passenger.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Man, if Singer starts
I love
doing
that-
massage seats, they're going to get a deposit from
Yeah, I
yours
know.
truly.
You've done the same thing with your seats that like a broke track rat does, where it's like they can only afford
Yeah.
one racing
Yeah,
seat.
I know.
Yeah.
And it looks like crap,
I
but
know.
you're at the other level.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's
And they're
is
normally
it-
red.
Is it trashy or is it classy? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's this big
It's whatever
gap
you want it to be.
where you need the seats to match, but
Yeah.
you've actually
It's
figured
always
it
a
out.
red one as well. I always think of it.
When it's
red.
just- when it's the one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One red bride seat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
When I just thought the missus is not going to go in it otherwise.
No, it's
So,
brilliant.
yeah.
It actually makes tons of sense.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw your GT2 RS, I went, "This is a guy who knows," and that's why when I ordered my car, comfort seats.
You did?
Yeah.
My car's got comfort.
Oh,
seats.
I didn't know that.
Fuck
Okay.
yeah,
like
dude.
14 way or
and
something.
I do not regret it for 0.5 of a second.
Oh, that's
I've done
awesome.
2 round trips to San Francisco in it, and it's fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love that.
It's
That's
so great. Yeah.
So I'm going to bring it back to Goodwood.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
What is the one car that stands out for you, or motorbike, that stood out for you this weekend?
I mean, the one thing I was
For
the
both of
most
you,
excited to see was the Beasts of Turin. You know what that? You know
No.
what that is?
Oh, is it the old thing?
The
with
old Fiat that
V18?
shoots fire.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like really tall and narrow and
They
weird.
drove it in the wet yesterday.
Yes,
It
and
went
it's-
past me, flames like.
and they've raced it in the wet at members meeting, like on the circuit, and it's just insane to watch. And so I've seen it so many times, these crazy clips on Instagram, because
Yeah.
Goodwood's Instagram page is awesome.
It is, isn't it?
It's so
Non-stop.
great.
There's always
it's
new stuff.
always good
Yeah.
stuff. And so I've seen this thing so many times. So to see it, to hear it in person and see the flames just pop right out of the open header, I really nerded out on that. And then, I mean, there was multiple Senna cars. I mean, not just one.
Yeah.
I think there was 4 Senna F1 cars, which when I went to McLaren Technical Center and they had one there, I sort of got like a warmth around it, which was weird. And it was obviously in my own head and not the actual car. But
Yeah.
but to see 4 different cars of his in one place was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great motor show. It's a really, really good event, car show, whatever you want to call it. Like it kind of has all the pieces, I think, in a pretty manageable size. I mean, it's big, but when we knew we had to walk back to our parking lot, it was, okay, it's a 10-minute walk. It's not an hour and a half. Or if you're in Monterey, you're not going to walk from Laguna Seca back down to Pebble. Yeah. Like you die along the way. Yeah. So this is a really, really cool event.
Yeah. And this country, like cars are so, I mean, I'm not going to like America speak to a Brit right now, but like cars are really important here.
Yeah.
And car culture is really important here. And the pride that people take in their cars is really important here. And so just being in the area, you know, it's not as dense as Monterey Car Week, but like everything from the GT3 cars and the Astons and the Ferraris and the Lotuses and blah, 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 blah. Like, it's nice to see that culture is, you know, despite the fact that you have 4 distinct seasons and a lot of rain and like, it's nice to see that level of enthusiasm at a variety of price points. Because I haven't been here in 5 years, and it's nice.
Really that long?
Yeah. And it's just nice to see it all.
People look after their cars here, especially if they have a classic car, and it means a lot to them.
Yeah.
I also think restorations here are insane. They're the best, I have to say.
Really?
Restoring cars in the UK is the best. I've restored an E-Type here.
Is that the one you have in California?
Yeah.
That car rules.
Which is just perfect. It's very drivable. It's got a racing clutch. It's got many things on it that make it more drivable.
Those two sentences usually are not put next to each other.
You just said it like that was a positive.
Yeah, disc brakes, obviously. I think they had disc brakes anyway. But I think
Jaguar pioneered disc brakes.
The C-Type.
The C-Type,
The C-Type, which I have as well. I'm actually racing.
You have a C-Type?
I have Fangio's C-Type.
Fuck out of here.
Oh, that's right. We talked about this.
So when he raced a Ferrari.
We talked about it last show.
Oh, wow. That really got buried.
Yeah, so I haven't raced it yet. So I've had the engine redone.
Cool.
Which has taken about a year. It's in the UK.
Are you going to race it at Goodwood Revival or Le Mans Classic?
Revival.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And it's looking good right now. So yeah, I can't wait to get that out. It's the first time I've raced it. Yeah.
That's rad.
Yeah. So then hopefully I'll bring it out to the States as well and do
Did
something.
Fangio win a bunch of things?
No, he didn't race it.
Oh, okay.
He was racing Ferrari at the time. It was his road car.
Oh, that's so
cool. And then they made him sell it. So
that's so cool.
Yeah.
I got to drive this 53 Cunningham C5R that was racing against the Jaguars and ultimately finished third against the C-Types because it ran out of brakes. It was the fastest car down the Mulsanne, but it had the largest drum brakes ever fitted to a car. Oh, wow. 17-inch drum brakes.
Really?
On 16-inch wheels. The brakes were an inch bigger than the race. And they were terrible. They were so bad. And I just couldn't imagine this thing being raced for 24 hours. It was like a tractor.
Well, mine has drum brakes on it.
Oh, so I guess it was the D-Type that had...
I think it was the C-Type,
but
it wasn't the early ones.
Okay.
But the early ones are the ones you want. And the guys that are looking after it at the moment, they're very good at working with the drum brakes, and they're awesome. That's what they say anyway.
I mean,
how many laps? You know, for how many laps?
These were probably working as they were supposed to. Yeah. You know, they were just like, you know, 50s.
Yeah. Technology's moved on. You know, Goodwood, they say they're old cars, but I drove Adrian Newey's E-Type last year. Which I think was more like an F2 race car.
That we did talk about. Yeah, that was the cheateriest E-Type.
I don't think it's allowed back this year.
Well, you guys had the clever thing where the trunk was open, but it was then a wing because they'd filled in the space, right?
That was correct. That was correct.
That was in period. The roof was also changed. When you on the internet, there are pictures of you passing other E-Types. Your car looks so different.
At a differential speed.
Massive differential, but it was like, why are these two different cars in the same race?
There was something different with the rear wheel arches, and they've put it right now, put them back to what they should be, and they still won't let it race,
They don't trust
And I can't imagine what horsepower it was making.
Well, they're watching the current F1 season, they're like, don't let him back in there.
And we were doing 155 miles an hour on the limiter on the back straight, I mean, I'm thinking, if this goes wrong, this is messy.
Would your car race against that car?
No. Okay. It races in a different race.
Okay.
But we still think we're going to hit 140 miles an hour in it. The 1950
Revival seems like
C-Type.
some of the most fun you can have on a track.
The best, I have to say, the festival speed's great.
Yeah.
The Revival's the one to go to.
Well, we want to go, but we were told repeatedly that it's almost impossible to do podcasts because it's so loud so consistently that unless someone builds you like a soundproof booth, you can't actually do
You
anything.
need a barometric chamber or something like that.
Doesn't mean I don't want to go. We just like, we can't do this unless we build a studio at your gym again.
Or we just do it off-site.
Well, you guys can rent this house next year. It's all
I
good.
think we might have to.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty nice.
Mate, seriously, Revival, you have to. If you like dress up, if you like bright colours, you probably do.
We know where to get the outfits. We're ready to go.
Oh, really?
Do the whole thing.
Well, just go to the Duke's house.
No, there's an awesome website called they don't pay for this. It's called Historical Emporium, and it's for period clothes.
Oh, wow.
That's where I got the clothes for the 1902 shit.
We'll show you the picture later.
It's
but
fucking awesome.
I'd love to see
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It's like Hollywood stuff.
There's a great photo of us holding up about a mile of traffic on a bridge because we're coming down the bridge in the 1904, but we had to push it up the bridge.
It was a mess.
How did you change gear?
It was actually a 3-speed outboard.
Yeah, it's the same, yeah.
But it was an H pattern. So
Oh.
first was down left, and then second was up right, and then third was straight back, and then the clutch lever was next to it. So it was a locking hand clutch. So you're in gear, and you'd engage the clutch and then lock it.
Yeah.
Now you want to change gears. So you'd unlock the clutch, change gear, relock the clutch.
Oh, wow.
It was actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
Like you had a lot to do.
It's like driving a bulldozer.
Yeah, it's crazy. But to that Beast of Turin thing, to watch this guy drive it, like he's moving levers,
He's
like
working hard.
all over the place.
And then he's got to slow it down. Fuck. That's the scary thing.
Yeah. That's any old car stopping
Yeah.
is the scary thing.
Yeah.
Going is
You're on
easy.
bicycle tires almost.
Dude.
Some of the old F1 cars, I mean, like the Lotus, was it not the
Like the Lotus, Type 49, the
49.
stuff from the
That's
50s.
one of my favorite cars of all time. If I could drive anything
The
up there, I
Sterling
would do
Moss.
that. Yeah.
It was driver's number 20. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, stunning.
It's so beautiful.
Did it have the sides on? Because Sterling in Monaco was getting too hot. So he took the sides of the car out.
Oh, no, they'd had him on.
And
It had
he
them
won. So you could basically see him changing gear through the side.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I got to drive that car at Silverstone. And it was one of the best handling cars I've ever driven. I mean, high-speed corners, it wasn't great, no downforce, but low speed, it was fantastic. And just everything worked perfectly. Set it up so nice. So, that car's hit.
The sketchiest thing I saw yesterday were the guys on like the motorcycles from the 20s in the wet. You know, and the one guy had his face looked like Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber on the thing where he's like
Terrified.
just taking water, because you had to open, like a old football helmet,
no.
and it was, suicide clutch, and like he looked like he was gonna die in a second,
running down his face and his eyes.
and then somebody, I don't know who it was, probably somebody very famous on a MotoGP bike was like right after him, just
someone's going for it. Yeah.
caning it.
Came through its speed, and I literally felt like a grandmother, and I was like, I'm worried. That's too fast. It seemed too fast in the wet.
You were giving him this.
Slow down. I was cringing. I was like, ooh, too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we'll let you get to primping for the ball.
Thank you very much.
I'm glad it's happening. Thank you for inviting us to your rental home.
No
It's
worries.
really nice. We might have to rent this place next year.
do it. And there's a pull-up bar there if you want to,
Just in case.
do a couple if you fancy it.
Yeah, this gym is like a very aesthetic gym.
It
like,
is, isn't
it's
it? It's
not
for photos, isn't it?
Nobody's working out in here. This is the weirdest gym ever.
It is.
But there's a green bean field behind, and that's very nice.
Yeah.
And we'll see you in the morning. And thank you, folks, for coming back with us. We're sorry about the audio issues we had on the stage, but this is better. And that we'll see you at Caffeine and Machine next episode. We're driving Caffeine and Machine.
Amazing. That'd be
Do
great.
a live show there, and then Hethel for some Lotuses.
Great. Enjoy
Jenson
it.
Button,
Yeah,
folks.
thanks, man.
See you later.